This is a cool thing. Okay. Uh, how you doing, guys? We have got a lot of weather going on today here in our area, so hopefully yours is a little bit better than ours is. And be safe, please. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about faith, and we're going to be bouncing around a lot, so just kind of bear with me as I start this. Okay? You don't need to keep up with me because I'm going to be zipping through. Once I get to the main thing, it'll be my main part will be Hebrews chapter 11. I'm going to start though in John 20 and 29. Then Jesus told him, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." We are part of that elect. If you believe in Jesus Christ, you have not seen him while he was walking, while he was doing his miracles, but yet I still have belief and faith that Jesus Christ came and died for me on the cross. And we're going to talk about the faith now that goes with that. And your faith should be not just what's in your heart, but faith is also in your actions of what you do. Okay? Because again, faith without deeds is useless. Okay? So we're going to go from there. Hebrews chapter 11. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for. The ancients, those before, their faith, it was still coming. It still had to develop. We're going to go back to that time too. But faith, by faith, we understand that the universe was formed at God's command. So that is what is seen. So that what is seen was not made out of what was visible. I want you to know this. Science can tell you that the earth and the universe was made and everything in it. But they can't tell you what that little spark was to begin it. You understand that? They know it was made, but they don't know how it started. The Big Bang Theory, guys, but it was the finger of God that says, "Let it be," and it was. Okay? That is my take on it. Because if you can show me a scientist that can honestly tell me how it all began, I'll be glad to hear him out. But I have my faith in God above all things. Okay? By faith, Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith, he was commended as righteous when God spoke well of his offerings. And by faith, Abel still speaks even though he is dead. Your faith is your belief in God, and your faith will be known by God. He knows your heart. He sees what you have inside and the faith that you have and you share with others. You have to believe this. Abel, I am very sure, is in heaven right now with God. And I'm pretty sure he's part of the enthroned that's sitting in front of God. We're going on. By faith, Enoch was taken from this life so that he did not experience death. Got that one, guys? He could not be found because God had taken him away, for before he was taken, he was commanded as one who pleased God. And without faith it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. Are you one that seeks God and the knowledge of God? I seek God. I don't just seek God, I see God through what he has created. Every time I look at a flower, every time I see the bees, every time I see a bird or the animals, and every time I see a baby, I know God's creation is still at hand. Okay? Enoch, you go to Genesis chapter 5, 21 through 24. I don't know if I got that marked. But anyway, you go to Genesis chapter 5, 21 through 24. I'll give you the quick summary of it. Enoch walked with God for 300 years, and by his faith was taken up with God. He was 365 years old, but he walked with God for 300 years. Do you have that kind of faith? Do you have the faith that pleases God so much that he wants to come down and spend time with you? I'm still working on that faith. I still get calls from God, but it's not an audible voice. I think if that was to ever happen, I would be kind of scared. Okay? We're going to keep on going. By faith, Noah, when warned about things not seen, in holy fear, built an ark to save his family. By his faith, he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness that is keeping with faith. Noah built an ark basically in the desert when it had never rained before. Never rained. Now, I can see this conversation, okay? Well, hey, Nora, what's that for? Well, this is going to be a big, big boat, and we're going to put a lot of animals in here, and we're going to float away when it starts raining. What's rain? Okay? Noah, by faith, followed God's plans and put this all together with God's help. Noah's ark and the people that were on the ark, 8 people. The animals, 7 clean, 2 unclean, of every animal was put on that ark. Now, guys, let me tell you, that is one big boat. Okay? So you can imagine how many people were laughing until the rain started. And when they hit about their waistline, I'm pretty sure they were pretty scared by then, because it was not going to stop. Okay? But God gave a testament to Noah that won't happen again. That's why we have the rainbow. Okay? Let's get this right for the kids, if you would. You can find that in Genesis 2, 6 and 13 is where it starts. Here's my favorite part. 8. By faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. By faith, He made his home in the promised land like a stranger in a foreign country. He lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. Think about that for a minute, guys. It'll dawn on you. Okay? And by faith, even Sarah, who was past childbearing age, was enabled to bear children because she considered him faithful who had made the promise. And so from this one man, as a good, and he is good as dead, became descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and as countless as the sand on the seashore. All these people were still living by faith when they died. They did not receive the things promised. They only saw them and welcomed them from a distance, admitting that they were foreigners and strangers on earth. People who say such things show that they are looking for a country of their own. If they had been thinking of a country they had left, they would have had opportunity to return. Instead, they were longing for a better country, a heavenly one. Here it comes, the Creator. Therefore, God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. Guys, you have to understand this. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God told Abraham in a vision, get up. You are going to be leaving this country and going to another country which I promise you will be yours. The next day, not, okay, we'll think about it a couple days. The next day, they got up. They took everything they had and they started going the way God said. And God led them to the country which was to become theirs. They lived in tents. They shepherded their flocks on the plains, and they thrived. Okay? We're going to go on. It gets better. Here it comes. By faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had embraced the promise was about to sacrifice his one and only son, even though God had said to him, it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. Abraham reasoned that God could even raise the dead, so in a manner of speaking, he did not receive Isaac back from death. Or he did receive Isaac back from death. Abraham's faith was so strong. I have a question for you. I would fail this question. Do you have enough faith to offer your firstborn son as a sacrifice to God? Now, mind you, this is a burnt offering sacrifice. Therefore, you would have to slaughter your own child and offer him as a burnt offering. I would fail this, guys. I hate to tell you that. Abraham's faith was so strong, it was amazing. We're going to go to Genesis 22. Genesis 22. We're going to talk about this because this is where our faith really gets going. We're going to go 1 through 10, if not a little bit farther. Sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, "Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. Then God said, "Take your son, your only son whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Now this is where it gets it. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and loaded his donkey. He took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. Guys, you understand this. The next morning, Abraham put his faith in motion. He did not hesitate to do what God said. He immediately, the next morning, got up, packed it up, and took off. When he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you." That "we" part, Abraham had enough faith to think, even if I sacrifice my son, God's not going to take him away from me. He'll come back. Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the 2 of them went on together, Isaac spoke up and said to his father Abraham, "Father?" "Yes, my son," Abraham replied. "The fire and wood are here," Isaac said, "but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." And the 2 of them went on together. When they reached the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham, here I am," he replied. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," he said. "Do not do anything to him, for I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." How much faith do you have? I have a feeling I would fail that test of faith. I'm sorry. But God knows it in my heart. I think I would fail. I could not do it. Okay? But by Abraham's faith, the world was blessed, and God's plan of salvation was put in order. God did provide the lamb for the sacrifice. God provided his own son, Jesus Christ, as the sacrifice for everyone in this world. If you believe, the atonement has been paid by the blood of Christ himself. That was God's only child. Okay? You have got to come to the decision. Your faith has got to have action. Faith without action is dead. You have to put feet when God tells you to go. You have to be there to help others. You are there to bless others. If your faith calls, it could be your friend, it could be your neighbor, it could be your family. The question I asked this morning at the other church was this: If it is your family that is failing, are you going to sit by idle? Oh, I got news for you guys. From the time of Noah, we're all related. You realize that? So my family encompasses this whole world. I don't want to leave anybody behind. But the problem is, it's your decision. I can't make it for you. The next person can't make it for you. The only thing we can do is give you this knowledge and give you our belief and let you know our story. Guys, if you want to say somebody, your faith is what you can tell. You don't have to quote scripture. You have to tell people how God affected you. And you have to tell people about Jesus. That is what makes the difference. Okay? We're going to go down to 17 real quick, and then we're going to be done. I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offspring, got that? Through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed because you have obeyed me. Okay? Through your offspring, through your seed. Everybody has a blessing through Abraham. Let's look at the direct line of descendants. You go from Abraham to David, from David to Jesus. You can follow the path. Okay? It'll tell you where it is. You have got to decide, as Christians, you have to be bold, and you have to tell the person that lives next to you, the person that lives down the street, your own family. You're going to be mocked. You're going to be ridiculed. But we as Christians do not face the persecution that the early church did in this country. I'm going to put it that way. In this country, we do not face the persecution that the early Christians did. But in that time of the persecution of the early Christians, the church flourished and grew. You have got to put your faith in action and let others know about Christ. You yourself are responsible. God will tell you, He will call you, and He will let you know what He wants. It might be a quick thought. It might be an idea that pops up in your head, the quick thought. But follow it. That's God telling you, hey, go see this person. Maybe they need just a happy face. Maybe they need a hug. Maybe they need physical help. But it is our job as a Christian to provide that and to keep it going and to let them know about the love of Christ. But they are not going to see that until you put your faith in motion. Okay? Guys, it's starting to come in here. The storm is raging in more ways than one. Okay? So I'm going to tell you good night and God bless and stay safe, please. But let